Hello, welcome to another Sonic Lab special. You may have noticed April 20th, a couple of weeks ago, IZotope RX6 dropped, and we have Lars here from IZotope who's going to show us some of the new features, right?
Yeah, that's right. Hello, Nick. Thanks for having me. Yes, I brought RX6 Advanced here and brought a couple of examples and want you to show some of the exciting new modules and features we have released with RX6.
Because there are some completely new processes in the RX suite now, right?
Absolutely. We use the new technologies called machine learning, and it's implemented in some of our new modules. It's a complete new thing. Well, actually not totally new. We used it for Neutron and partially for Ozone, but never for RX before. And actually that enabled us to do really exciting stuff.
That sounds like science fiction kind of thing. Server farms and giant artificial intelligent brains, right?
Yeah, exactly like that. So what we did was feeding these server farms, and we calculated files like for weeks in order for instance, in that case, to make the algorithms learn what is the characteristics of speech, of dialogue, of vocals, in order to do these things I'm going to show you now.
We should just quickly recap, for those perhaps who don't know what RX is, perhaps you could just give us a kind of paragraph explanation.
Of course, yeah. RX is our restoration suite, so it deals with all the problems and issues you have in modern audio production that could come from field recordings, like noise issues on files, maybe clipped files. We have a declipper. We can declip files, which is amazing. I was working 20 years in the industry. I never thought that is possible.
Well, that's also useful for musical production as well. If you've got a great performance and it's just marred by some artifact, you can fix that kind of stuff as well, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And that's actually one thing we want to push a bit more. RX is great for music production. It's well known in the post industry. It's a standard in the film industry today, but we still haven't really reached out to all of our music customers. And RX6 address those people with dedicated features.
Well, take it away. Let's take a look. What are you going to show us?
So the first thing I would like to show you is our dialogue isolator. It's a new module which is based on that machine learning technology, and it deals with distracting noises in the background which are not like noise or low rumble, where we have other dedicated modules for. It's rather like somebody is typing or doing things like that on the table, and later if you have to work on the files, you think like, this is really distracting from the actual speech. Right. So I'll give you an example.
Yeah, I would say that's a pretty fair sort of analysis of the way I start with things. Like I like to mess around and I would say that's...
So what Dialogue Isolator can do, it just can separate the dialogue from anything else.
Right.
That's based on that machine learning technology. The separation strength is set to 10, which is quite heavy, so I process that file. Sometimes it's more recommended to use lower settings and do multiple passes. So
yeah, I would say that's a pretty fair sort of analysis of the way I start.
So a pretty fair analysis of how that works, and it worked quite
Absolutely.
well. But so it's a destructive edit, or rather it's a non-real-time process, right?
It's a non-real-time process. Yeah, you see here in our under history, we can at any time go back to an earlier stage, compare different stages of processing.
So you have a long undo history that you can always go. Okay, right, cool.
The next new file I have here is let me check.
That's my grandfather there.
What a great voice. Let's have a bit more of that.
So this is a typical issue we have in post-production, audio post-production, like on a daily basis. Audio producers have to deal with lavalier microphones, and they make this funny noise. So because somebody has just stick them on not properly, not like we did today, I think that's good. Sound quality, but on many film sets, they're just like stick anywhere, and then you have these files having these rustle issues. Sounds like that.
That's my grandfather there, and he started the boatyard in 1888.
I just got this image of this guy in a really massive suit that's way too big for him, and it's sort of wrestling away there. I don't know.
Yeah, and beards are a problem too.
Beards.
Yeah, so the rustle can deal with that, also based on the new machine learning technology. And actually, in the past, there was nothing really what you could use to get rid of these sounds.
It's a multi-process kind of treatment, I'd imagine. Before.
Yeah, it's not periodically. It's moving in the frequency range. It's most of the times it sits on top of the voice. So it's a really big problem for post guys. And let's see what we can do with our new de-rustle module. So I process this. And I give it another process pass.
Because it's quite a lot, so
It's
you
quite a
might
lot,
do it twice and okay.
I do it twice, and I leave the ambience preservation in that situation on 100%, so all of the ambience on that file will be preserved.
Right, okay.
Okay, so
That's my grandfather there. And he started the boatyard in 1888.
Wow, okay, that's pretty impressive. I mean,
Absolutely.
there is quite a lot of rasp and rustle in his voice as well. So
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, that's gone.
yeah,
essentially.
it's,
Right.
it's gone. And the great thing about these tools are you hit the process button and that's it. So you don't have to tweak.
So I'm guessing,
a
you
lot
know,
of
if you're a kind of dictaphone person, or you know, you're recording stuff on your iPhone, musical ideas, that sort of thing, and as we know, quite often that first sort of spark of inspiration can be the one, and you can never recreate it. You might be able to clean up some of that in these processes to actually make it useful as a final take. Right?
Absolutely, yeah. Also for vocal recordings, I mean, you're looking for the great performance, and maybe that's this one take only, and then you have to deal with some technical issues later, and we provide the tools for that. So you don't have to redo the take, because maybe the performance will never be the same again. So this is an example for another new module we have. Something I use a lot when I do vocal edits are these grossing mouth noises. Exactly. And if you add compression and more compression and parallel
Yeah.
bass compression.
Happens a lot when people are nervous because their mouths get dry
Yeah.
and they smack their lips and they kind of, I mean,
Yeah.
we notice that a lot.
So we used to use the declick model in the past, but because that's a very common problem, we decided to develop the algorithms a bit further to have this mouth declick module now. Give you an example.
Born and raised there, moved out in '84, moved to Los Angeles. Born and raised.
Especially 84, you can really hear that clicking sound. So I can also demonstrate just the click.
That's a great. You can make some excellent glitch music with that.
Yeah, yeah. Just put a kick and then off you go. Okay, so I process that to get rid of that click noise. So you see the brighter spots on the spectral view become darker.
Right.
Born and raised there, moved out in '84,
Yeah, sounds more
moved to
natural.
Los Angeles. Born and raised.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean this is a tool which you could perfectly use for dialogue editing, but also for music, vocal recordings.
Yeah, sure. Particularly now because a lot of vocal sounds are very present and very topic. You EQ so much into them to give them that cut, you know, on mobile devices or whatever.
Yeah.
So you really need to be able to clean that up, I'd imagine.
Absolutely, and especially talking about like modern vocal production, it's really compressed like hell. And with every next compression stage, these little things become more and more audible and distracting from the actual performance. Talking about vocal production, actually we moved a couple of, the deplosive module, we moved down to the standard version to make it available for customers on smaller budget.
Right.
And we focused the standard version to music customers. So all of the modules I'm going to show you next are all part of the new RX6 standard version, like the mouth declick. And we have a vocal take here. Maybe we just listen to that quickly, and then you will see there's a lot of things going on which we need to deal with.
The sunrise sheds light on anticipant eyes. We sway to the rhythm, our gaze toward the skies.
Can you affect the nerves on that take as well? So you've got a plug-in for that.
Not yet, we're working on that.
A confidence slider. Yeah. Okay.
So one of our new models I like to quickly introduce is the DS. So it's based on spectral shaping, which is a technology we introduced with neutron and neutrino last year. And this is so cool. I love it because you will not have this artifact, this Lisp artifact.
De-essing is actually quite hard to set up effectively, isn't it? I mean,
yeah. And you can actually color the sibilants in a way you want to have them. So I'm going to process this very, very quickly. What I like about this is also you can output just the S and work on just the sibilants. We also have a little deplosive here, which would be perfectly to deal with for that deplosive module. It's not shown in my list here, which brings me to one of the new RX6 feature. We have these filters here now for hiding and showing stuff. So I've created a demo filter, which only shows the modules I wanted to show you. And now I can bring up all and pop up the deplosive. So here we are, say process, and you see these dark areas and the lower frequency range just
So
disappeared.
it's going to be a bit cleaned up there.
Yeah. And again, this is also part of
So
the
this is a
standard version.
non-real-time process, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's all rendered. Another thing is breath control. So you see here, there's a breathe-in which is heavy.
Yeah.
If you have to work on these breaths on an individual base, you have to do this maybe in Pro Tools or your DAW and use clip gain, and it really takes a lot of time. While here we can just process the entire file and target those breaths to a certain level. But actually really cool, I show you that. If I output the breaths only, it will just detect the breaths in the file and then target them. So it's not that heavy anymore.
Particularly if you're compressing as well, you want to drop that.
Absolutely, yeah. You want to lower that a little bit for the file. Cool. Yeah, and you just mentioned it. The biggest issue is the bleeding from the headphone. Actually,
Yeah, there's a. I'm not sure if I can identify that click. It sounds like it might be Pro Tools. each DAW has its own specific click as default, right?
I would agree on that. Yeah.
The sunrise sheds.
So we have a new module. It's called debleed, which deals with bleeding from one microphone to another microphone, or in that case,
This is
a headphone
headphones, isn't it?
source. Yeah. So the way how we do this, we need to have this second track, which is the source of the bleed.
Ah, okay. Right.
So in that case, it's the click track. And then I'm going to define that click track as my bleed source track. I create a bleed profile by using the learn button. And then I can set up the reduction strength, and also I can smooth out artifacts. So let's process that. And the bleed should be gone.
The sunrise sheds light on
and it doesn't matter that presumably the bleed track would be a WAV file that was like from the line output rather than recorded from the headphones, for instance.
Absolutely, and in that example,
So I mean
used the WAV file.
that's one example. What about in terms of like multi-kit mics, that kind of thing? Is it going to be useful for that sort of stuff?
Yes, of course.
Multi-mic kits even.
That brings me to another example, which is Composite View.
Right.
Multi-microphone situations, we had to deal with that in previous versions on an individual base. So we had to, like if you have an unwanted event and you want to use spectral repair in order to delete that, you had to do this on every file individually.
Yeah, that's got to hurt.
And right now we have this great thing which is called Composite View, which puts all of the files into one combined view. So you can do all of your edits in one file, and it will affect all the individual files. So let me show you something here with that example. So we have a kick drum microphone, overheads, room microphone, and there's the unwanted event. Somebody is calling the drummer, trying to tell him, hey, guy, you don't groove.
So I said in the pocket, not in the bucket.
Maybe. So the thing is, by selecting this unwanted event here, I can just pop that out a little bit so you can see that a bit better. Here is the cell phone. In the previous versions, we had to do this on all individual files, but now I'm going to use Composite View and select the file here.
Pack it all off. Yeah. Okay.
And do my edit. I will do this like very quick and ugly. So just select that here. So of course there are multiple of these unwanted events. There's a new extension to find similar, which is find all. So if you use that, it will select just all of these unwanted events. I'm going to process with spectral repair.
So that processed effectively that same unwanted event across all of the tracks simultaneously.
That's right. So what you can see here, we have an undo history. It shows me the initial state and the spectral repair edit stages. And the good thing is I can still go back and undo this edit on an individual file level.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you
which is
start
really
you can
cool.
start broadly and then go actually, yeah.
Yeah,
I
you can
quite
also
like-
use the Composite View in order to bounce files back and forwards with Pro Tools through the RX Connect.
So here
plugin.
we've got a drum kit, but I mean, for instance, us here, we've got 2 mics. If something happened outside,
Yeah.
we could process that file because it came down both our mics at the same time at the same, the same event.
Yeah,
right? Okay.
absolutely. Just select the files, send them over to RX, and that's supported. And you can actually work on up to 16 files.
Okay.
It's really cool. So yeah.
Well,
think-
there was a question because one thing that's really useful, certainly in in audio production, is kind of real-time processing, the kind of plug-in side of things. What other real-time processors are there in RX6 that are maybe different to previous versions?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we improved the declicker to make it a bit more low latency. So it's still a real-time process. The versions, the plugin versions we had in RX5 were overtaken to RX6. We extended that by having the new DSM module, the spectral shaping based one, as real-time plugin also available, which is great. And actually, that leads me to another thing. In the past, we had this plugin pack. You remember?
Yes.
It was like the low entry product for 99-ish. We extended that. It's called now RX Elements, like Ozone Elements, and we put the standard version, the standalone version, so the spectral view, into that entry-level product for the same price. Actually, it's really cool.
So available now, pricing, all the different elements. Have you got that information?
Yeah, we start with RX Elements for 99.95 British pounds. The standard version is 315 British pounds, and the advanced version with all the modules in, like the ones based on machine learning technology, is 939 British pounds.
Okay, so the advanced version is essentially kind of more aimed at the professional restorer, maybe the film world, that side of things, right?
Post-production world, definitely, while the standard version is definitely for music customers. There's all of the stuff we just covered when we did this vocal track editing. It's all in there, and also the deep lead module. And by the way, we have a promo, so an introductory promo, which runs until the end of May. So
if we're quick and we get this out quick, then that will still be active. Lars, thank you very much for coming down and showing us that.
Thank you for having me.
That's it for this time. I want to say, do check it out. It's izotope.com/RX.
Yes, I think so, yeah.
There's usually a demo, isn't there?
Yeah.
You have a demo version.
Yeah, we have trial versions, like fully functional for 10 days, and so you can really check it out. And we have also examples, sound files, which you can download. And there's a great resource of like how you use RX. We have this RX recipe cookbook with lots of ways how to use the modules for certain issues.
Right. Okay, that's it for this time. Thank you very much for watching. I want to say thanks again to Lars for coming down here. Stay tuned for more Sonic Lab content. Don't forget, subscribe. See you next time.